Leaders. There are good ones and some not so good ones. But more often than not, there are bad ones. These leaders are like vampires. That's right, vampires. Bad leaders isolate themselves from the crisis around them so they can't be reached and don't have to deal with the real important issues. They cannot see themselves or their priorities in a tangible way. They don't self evaluate. They avoid going out in daylight where they can be seen or questioned and prefer hiding in the shadows like cowards. They tend to treat their shareholders like enemies when the solution is just calm, clear communication. And they suck the life out of their companies and employees rather than making their own sacrificial donation to the business or company. Essentially, bad leaders don't act like normal human beings. They need some pointers on how to be a good and effective leader in the workplace. Don't believe me? Let's look at some statistics of how much poor leadership there is out there. 69% of employees say they would rather work harder if they felt their efforts were better recognized, and 78% said being recognized motivates them in their job. 39% of employees report that they don't feel appreciated at work. So ultimately, people and the employees that are part of these businesses are a big cause to some of the crises that occur, whether it's through sabotage or they just quit, or there are unions who stand up to their businesses. There's also natural disasters such as hurricanes, tornadoes, storms, fires, different things that can occur that cause crises to happen, and that's when a leader needs to really step up and do their job. Nixon is a great example of a poor leader by trying to cover up and deny accusations of the things that he did regarding the Watergate scandal. Bill Clinton said that he did not have sexual relations with that woman, rather than admitting his adultery and facing his own immorality. Really, Bill? Really? Tony Hayward, the CEO of BP, disappeared and went yachting off the coast of the UK after the disastrous oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico. The CEO of Hostess, Greg Rayburn, imposed an 8% per pay cut for all Hostess workers while keeping his monthly $125,000 pay, or $1.5 million a year. He didn't consider his employees important. All of these men, among many others, need a lesson in good leadership. They all were invisible leaders who didn't involve themselves in the crises around them, but rather ran from it. Others, like Saddam Hussein and Osama bin Laden, did the same thing. They elevated themselves above the general population or employees that they were in charge of, and when things got ugly, they ran, hid, and cowered in their dark coffins away from the sunlight of truth. All of these things are even more important when under a crisis. So, as you can see, there is obviously a need for good leadership and good leadership principles. And that's what we're going to talk about today. As we've discussed, there is a great need for leaders to be human during crisis recovery. This human element comes through strategic communication goals and personal character. Let's review some general guidelines for leadership during crisis recovery. Dallas, tell these people what you found.
Leaders need to be seen during the recovery process. Written messages that you release to the public do not have the same effect as you actually getting in front of a camera and talking about what's going on. Here's some things you'll want to convey. Honesty. Lying, cover-ups, and other over-reassurances will deter progress in the public eye. Besides the fact that you could be legally indicted for serious cover-ups, you want to use this time to build a positive rapport with stakeholders, employees, and the public. Honesty is still the best policy. Concern. Your organization or property may be in serious trouble, but don't forget that people are being affected. Reach out to them. Put yourself in their shoes. The layman doesn't want to hear facts and figures all day long. He wants to know that you care about him. You see his struggles. You're doing what you can to help him. Progress, if there is any. You've been honest with the public about the depth and breadth of the crisis. You've reached out to them and shown concern. Now you need to start answering questions and talking about how you're going to move forward. The temptation is often to over-assure everyone that everything is going to be fine and you know exactly what to do. The truth is, you don't know that. When asked questions that you can't or don't know how to answer, state that you're working on it. Avoid saying, "no comment." It raises negative suspicions and is counterproductive. You want to always be moving forward. Diligence. Stay committed to the task of restoration. Cooperate with stakeholders. Involve your business partners. Stay true to your organization's mission, but don't be afraid to adapt your leadership style for the sake of moving forward. You are using this crisis as an opportunity to grow and prove that you are a worthy leader.
Now, we've seen 4 areas of importance in communication after a crisis. Let's look at one example of a leader who succeeded in these areas.
After the devastating Hurricane Sandy hit the east coast of the United States in October 2012, Governor Chris Christie of New Jersey was left with millions of dollars of damage and months of cleanup work. As the storm had crept up the coast, he took the forecast seriously and urged people to prepare or leave. Unlike some crises, this one was somewhat foreseen, though storms are never completely predictable. Governor Christie took immediate and frequent action in communicating with the public through media briefings. Eventually, the storm passed, but New Jersey had a long road ahead of him. Governor Christie exchanged the suit and tie for a well-worn fleece jacket and jeans. He hit the streets to start meeting with citizens and helping them cope. Before any work could be done, he sympathized with the people, listened to their concerns, and even embraced them. Previously, Christie had been known for his gruff demeanor, but his post-storm briefings conveyed nothing but tenderness and true character. Hugs and tears weren't going to clean up the state, though. Christie moved into action both on a local and national scale. He crossed party lines to form a productive relationship with President Obama, even praising him for his aid. He appeared on television shows to promote funding for relief aid. He was constantly in the public eye fighting for his state. 74% of voters approved of his job performance, including all 3 political parties. His diligence won over not just New Jersey, but people from across the country. His diligence in working to restore his state won him national popularity.
Here is what we've learned from Governor Christie. Prepare yourself and your stakeholders for anything. Tell them what could happen and what they can do. A crisis is inevitable, but failure is not. Care for your people before anything else. As the leader, you're setting the tone for the rest of your organization, so make it one that puts people first. If it weren't for them, there would be no you, anyway. Once you've surveyed the damage and taken care of the human needs, get to work. Keep everyone informed of the progress you're making. Get everyone involved. It's okay, you don't know all the answers yet. But be honest when you tell stakeholders that you're working on it. If you combine all these points and act, above all else, with integrity, you're going to take advantage of the crisis and benefit from it.
So we know that every crisis is unique, and no two are alike. What's important is that you're constantly seeking advice. What we consider to be most important is that you're not a vampire leader. You're human. When you look in the mirror and you examine your practices, you improve from them. You don't suck the life out of your stakeholders, out of your employees or of your company, but you're constantly giving to them. You're showing concern for them. And you're also not isolating yourself. Instead of sleeping in a coffin, you're involved and you're interacting with those people who can give you advice and who can help you in the future. And above all else, the most important thing that you could know about leadership.
I think what she was trying to say was integrity.